Good evening. Tonight I'm going to be discussing how important it is to get your children vaccinated, especially infants and toddlers who are in the beginning stages of their lives. This is not only important for your specific child, but for all children, including their peers that they will be in school in and children a little older or a little younger. So I want to start off with a story of a child who, so this baby was only 4 weeks old, and they recently passed away because a child who was about 9 years old had gotten a disease that's commonly prevented by vaccines, and the 4-week-old, his vaccinations, like he was vaccinated, but they hadn't set in yet, so he, unfortunately, this 4-week-old child passed away because the 9-year-old was not properly vaccinated. So ultimately, this 4-year-old passed away for no reason, and his parents were trying to do the right thing by getting him vaccinated. So I want to start off by also discussing what exactly a vaccine is, because a lot of people don't really understand their science and technology. So there's live vaccines and there's also dead vaccines, and that has to do with the type of virus that is inserted into your body. So they use either a dead form of the virus or a very weak form, and then your body is able to build up the immunity, so when they are presented to the disease, no one actually gets sick. So your body gets a small dose and is able to build up and be like, okay, this is how we fight it. It builds the antigens, the antibodies, and then it's able to actually fight it when presented with the disease. So in about 1990, the death rate was 16% of children dying before they were 5 years old. So around then was when they started to discover this is a real problem. Our population is really going to decrease if nobody can live past 5 years old. So they made common vaccines to specific diseases. The most common ones that are still around in pretty much universally in all first world countries are the vaccine for diphtheria, tetanitis, pertussis, polio, measles, mumps, rubella, hemophilus, and hepatitis type B. So those are the ones you typically get at birth, and then as they go on, you get HPV, you could get the flu shot, which is a little different, but you get all these different vaccines. So by the year 2000, 27% of school-age children were vaccinated. So this leads to herd immunity. So because so many children have this vaccine and so many people in the population, the disease is not able to eradicate quick enough to actually get anybody sick. So even though about 3% of U.S. population doesn't have it, it's very uncommon that they're all going to be living together and able to get that disease. So everybody basically is safe from this. Now, in 2004, this started to cause trouble because people started hearing, fake news, as it's called, of different people having, they're saying vaccine causes diseases and causes autism and all these different things. Now, this has been completely disproven. There's several studies, several correlation studies saying that there's no link between any of these vaccines and all kinds of diseases, not only autism, but also diabetes, and other things that they were saying, schizophrenia, other things they were saying it causes. No correlation was found with any vaccine and any disease. And a lot of people are distrusting of the measles, mumps, and rubella vaccine, but there is less than a 1 in a million chance of someone actually eradicating that disease from that. And also with the technology we have nowadays, it's often not even a problem as long as you can treat it early enough. And also, the risks really of getting measles or mumps or rubella outweigh the benefits of the vaccines, and the risk of a vaccine going wrong is so low that it's much better and much safer to just get the vaccine. So, again, in 2004, when this started to go on, a lot of people had a lot of trust, or were starting to lose trust in the government and in medicine in general, and that is the main reported reason for why people are choosing to not have vaccines. So it's distrust in the government and in medicine and public health, and people not thinking that they can do what they're supposed to do, even though these doctors are in school and specifically doing this, and they go through several trial runs to make sure these vaccines really are safe for everybody. So in other countries, especially European countries, about 35% of European countries have laws that require children to be vaccinated. And it's different by country of exactly what they require. They'll require most require about 9 vaccines, and it's those main ones I said earlier. It's not like the flu shot or anything like that. It's like the main, like polio, measles, mumps, rubella, and diphtheria, stuff like that. So they get those required by law that the baby must get those. And then in Italy is specifically one that recently did this in 2017 because they were seeing such a decrease in people not wanting to vaccinate their children and not seeing a need for it, that they were like, we need to do something about this because people are getting sick and children are dying for things that necessarily aren't that parent's fault or that child's fault. So there really, again, is no correlation. And they were also found, they did a research through Google Trends that said the spikes throughout, as like basically the only times people were starting to look at vaccines and Googling things such as like vaccines and autism or vaccines bad was when it was in the news and people were having things and like political statements were being made, that those were actually being spiked in Google. So people are really, it's one of those things that people are only choosing to care about it when it's being in front of them, and then they kind of forget about it, and if they're having a child not in those peak times, they're likely vaccinating them. So this also goes, there was a statement made by President Trump that was saying that vaccines do cause autism, and again, this was very disproven through science, but after that, a lot of people have been distrusting, which could have led to other cases of disease outbreaks in certain areas. So ultimately, when you're choosing to not vaccinate your child, you're not only putting your child at risk, but you're putting other children at risk, even if they are vaccinated, because you're getting rid of that herd immunity that as a society we have worked so hard to build up. Thank you.